Hey everybody. So I hope that you've had a great break and I hope that you took a break from doing some schoolwork. But now let's get back to it and we're going to start talking about the types of chemical reactions. So before break, we were talking about how whenever two things react with each other, you have a chemical reaction. And there are a couple of different ways that you can know that a chemical reaction happened. So, for example, formation of light, the release of heat energy, if it forms a gas, like it bubbles. So all those in a color change. So a ton of those, and we'll go over those again in class this week, are examples of how you know a chemical reaction happened. So let's talk about the types of chemical reactions. So we can classify chemical reactions based on how many reactants they have, what happens in the reaction, and that kind of thing. So they can all be classified into 5 different categories. So we've got combination, and you may see combination as synthesis. They're used interchangeably. Decomposition, single exchange or single displacement. Single exchange and single displacement are the same thing. Double exchange and double displacement, those are also the same thing. And then combustion, and combustion is whenever anything burns. So we'll talk about combustion at a later time. So let's talk about combination reactions. So combination reactions are also known as composition, synthesis. They have a ton of different names. So it takes 2 reactants and it creates one product. So for example, here in this example, we've got A and B. They are coming together to form one product, C. So in a combination or a synthesis or a composition reaction, you will have 2 or more reactants and they will come together, and you'll know that it is a combination reaction because it's only going to have one product. So for example here, we've got magnesium solid and oxygen, and it's going to form magnesium oxide solid. So this is kind of like rusting, just the magnesium version of rusting. So if you add iron plus O2 gas in the air, you'll get iron oxide, which is rust. All right, let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about decomposition reactions. So decomposition reactions are going to be reactions where something breaks down. It starts out with one reactant and it goes to 2 or more products. So in this example here, we've got this compound, it's called AB, and it falls apart, it decomposes into A plus B. So remember, the reactants are over here on the left and then the products are over here on the right. All right, so most of the time this only takes place when you add heat or you add electricity to something. So for example here, this is water, like a liquid water, and if we add electricity to it, it's called electrolysis. And electrolysis creates hydrogen gas, which is H2, and O2, which is oxygen gas. So this is an example of a decomposition reaction because we have one reactant here, and it forms 2 or more products. So again, mostly it's going to take place when electricity or heat are added. All right, so single exchange or single displacement or single replacement, they're all the same thing. All right, so atoms of an element are exchanged with atoms of another element or a compound. So the way that I like to think about this one, or the way that I remember this one, is we've got one thing that is by itself, and it's trying to kick out a similar thing that's in a compound. So if you look at this is solid aluminum, and it's trying to kick out this magnesium that's with the chlorine and make the magnesium be by itself. So you look over here, the aluminum has displaced, see what I did there, or kicked out this magnesium, and now the magnesium is by itself with aluminum chloride. So this is called single exchange, single displacement, single replacement. They're all the same thing. And we'll talk about this more later on. I have a whole lesson on the activity series and why this one can kick out this one and all that other stuff. All right, so for the next one, we've got double exchange. And a lot of people get single exchange and double exchange mixed up. So in double replacement or double exchange, again, they're the same thing. We've got 2 compounds. So if you look back at this one, we only have, there's one thing that's by itself. This is just one element. And then there's a compound. With double exchange or double replacement, there are 2 different compounds. And what they do, it's kind of like the do-si-do kind of thing. They kind of just switch partners. So now A bonds with D, and then C goes with B. So they both just kind of switch partners. It's like a do-si-do kind of thing. So those are the different types of chemical reactions. So let's do a couple, and I'll explain, why each one is each one. So we've got HBr plus magnesium leads to H2 and magnesium bromide, MgBr2. So if you look at this, we've got one element that is by itself, and we've got this compound over here. So this magnesium is going to kick out the H and bond with the Br, so that's going to be single displacement. All right, if you look at the next one, we've got one compound here, one thing on the left side, so we've got one reactant, and that's going to break down into two things here. So if you look back at, the slides from earlier, you'll see that if we have one thing, one reactant, and it breaks down into two things, that's got to be decomposition. All right, and again, this next one is a little bit tricky, and I'll talk more about why it's tricky later. So we've got NaOH, so that's sodium hydroxide, it's a polyatomic compound, and we're adding that to hydrochloric acid, or HCl. So these are both two compounds. So it's not like this one up here where we just have one element. There are two different compounds here. And they are swapping. The Na goes with the Cl, and the H goes with OH. And you can rewrite HOH as actually H2O. Kind of cool. All right, and then we've got Na plus Cl on this last one. So there are two things over here on the left side. So we've got two reactants, and that's going to form one product. So if you look at this, you can say, okay, so that's going to be synthesis, combination. All of those are the same thing. All right, so I try to keep this video short and sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please send me an email or you can give me a comment below. I hope you have a great day.